Hey YouTube, it's Alex here, and today I want to talk to you about desert greening. Yeah, it's a bit of a novel concept you may not have heard of, but I've recently found out about it and I think it's quite a cool and novel idea. So what is desert greening? Desert greening is turning a desert into a non-desert or a arid environment. And the first thing you're wondering is, how do they do it? Well, it's not as hard as you think. So back in the day with California and the Hoover Dam, they did reroute a lot of water to California. And as a result, they now have quite a thriving agricultural area or agricultural industries. Now, with all of the world, with the big deserts like the Gobi and the Sahara, they're actually doing something similar to actually reclaim the desert. The problem is with deserts, they tend to expand with the dry winds blowing hot air, which seems to degrade or strip the trees away and increase the size of the desert. Now, if you're a farmer, that's not good because you're losing land to the desert itself that you can't use anymore. So to reverse that, what some of these countries have done is quite interesting, is they've decided to do planting programs. So these collectively are known as the Green Wall programs. And the way they work is, instead of trying to send the water to the actual border of the desert, they've decided to plant trees that are pioneering trees. These are trees that don't normally grow there, but they're good for desert-style environments. To stop the desert coming close, they plant these trees and then with time plant them into the desert to actually increase the area that has water and has trees into the desert, so it's actually pushing them back. Now with that land, you can then use crop rotations and other ways to start farming on them again. And I thought it was quite interesting. They're using stuff like eucalypts and acacia trees to stop the deserts from encroaching, but also building out. Now sure, there are a few problems with eco-refugees where people have had to give up their lands to plant trees there, but in the scheme of things, I like the whole idea of that you can push the desert back, that the appropriate farming and different types of trees and research, that places like China since 1978 have been doing this and are having some success at halting the desert encroaching and pushing forward. Now, I know what you're thinking, well, what happens when you stop the deserts? They're all gone. Well, I don't think it's going to happen in any short term. I believe China has advised it's going to take them up to 300 years to do this, but the initiative there to kind of sustain the environment and actually try and make it more habitable, especially when climate change increases the desertification process, as some areas are going to be more wet and the dry areas are just going to get more and more dry, that they're seeing the trends and they're actually trying to remediate them. Now, places like Israel have done this in the past, and Africa is now doing it through the Sahara. So there's a lot of exciting opportunities to do this. Now, the thing is, it's not necessarily just the global change or climate change causing this. It's also the way we deal with the environment. So some of the farming practices and the rerouting of water causes areas to start becoming deserts. So as that does increase, building these walls and stopping desert encroachment allows instances where these things are happening to be remediated, or alternatively at least allows the government to know what's causing it and to try and advise their pet population not to farm in that way or not to reroute water. But if it all comes push to shove, you've got an option to actually get around it. Well, that's the end of my video in regards to desert greening. I thought hopefully you found it quite interesting, because I definitely found it interesting, the fact that you can reclaim land that was just unusable. But if you liked the video, please like and subscribe down below, and I will see you next time. Thank you for your time. Bye.